So, yeah, we're just gonna wait for a little bit. Okay. Right. So now I've got to get everything back up there. That's crazy. Ah, well, what are we gonna do? Just share it and try to. Sorry. We're just gonna have to try that again. Hmm. Let's try that again because yeah, that was terrible. Give me 1 second, people. Just gonna try to make sure that this thing actually works for now. Okay. All right. I guess that would actually. Yeah. There's that. I just have to remember to turn that back on. Okay. Messages. Let me just go ahead. Hoping that's a new one. Blah blah blah. Right. This is why you don't do these things live. Hmm. Can never trust it. You can never trust it. Can never trust my PC to do anything right, or I guess myself. Really, in this case, I feel like it was more of a user error than it was a PC error. That one's on me, people. That one is on me. Okay. And I think there was messages here. It doesn't matter. Let's uh let's get talking. Let's get talking. Let's try to get this thing on the way. We're just gonna have to go through it. Now, as I was saying before, what I was going to say before is that you have to pretty much, when you're doing live streams, even if there's no one watching, you just gotta go along with it. You just gotta do it. So that's what we're going to do. I was going to make a video on this separately, but then I thought if I make a video, I'm gonna be tempted to like do things over and over again. Which, as you can see, usually my videos are a terrible way to start. Usually I'll spend like 2 or 3 minutes recording, then inevitably I'll have to delete it because I make a mistake somewhere. It is what it is. So we're just going to roll right past the beginning and we're going to pretend that this started on a great note, with no technical issues whatsoever. And that's the way that we're going to go. Okay, so before I got distracted by the fact that I do not know how to do anything on the internet, what I was going to talk about was a very specific topic. I want to talk about the disingenuousness in the gaming community. Now, this was sparked by this particular thing that I stumbled upon. Now, I specifically searched for it right now when I'm going to show you the screen, but this was kind of like organically recommended to me by YouTube when I was, just going about my business browsing on YouTube. And so, as you can see here, the thing that sparked my interest in making this particular video or live stream is this. 5 years in, it says this gen just got a lot more interesting, sorry, a lot more exciting finally on next gen console watch. Now, if you guys know these guys, then you know that this is from the IGN people. Okay, I take umbrage with that particular video title because to me it seems disingenuous. And what I mean by that is we have entire generations of gaming, right? That are not defined solely based on what a PlayStation, Xbox, or even a Nintendo is doing. Now, Nintendo, they have a lot more one on kind of direct relationship, one to one, between what the fans are excited for and the products that they themselves release. So I can understand making the argument or coming from that mindset. But when it comes to PlayStation and Xbox, when you take a look back at the previous generations, whether it's the PlayStation 2, the PlayStation 3, even the PS4, a lot of the things that people remember the most, a lot of the best times and the most exciting times, they are not like first party games or first party studio games or whatever it is, right? Now, when people remember Destiny on the previous generation, Destiny was a multi-platform title. When people remember Mass Effect or Knights of the Old Republic, or many of these other grand titles that defined those generations, Metal Gear Solid and things like that, those were not first party titles. So for me, what makes this disingenuous is twofold. The first is, I think it is illogical to define the success, the excitement, or whatever merit of any particular generation based solely or based primarily on what first party studios are putting out, whether that's PlayStation, Xbox, or to a lesser degree Nintendo, because again, for them, for that particular audience, their titles are really the main attraction. But when we're talking about PlayStation, Nintendo, so PlayStation, Xbox, that is definitely not the case. If you ask a person to, in any generation, name you the top 20 games of any generation, I think you're going to see that a lot of those titles are going to be multi-platform, regardless of the console that they're currently on. So there is that. That is the first lie. And then the second one that I don't like is because, people like IGN, they are the same ones that will say, things such as, oh, these are like console warriors, this, console warriors, that, they pretend to be above the console war, quote unquote, and yet they always try to feed into it, like the entirety, the entire persona seems disingenuous to me because it's like you just constantly want to benefit from the console war culture whilst at the same time trying to promote yourselves as being somehow above that, even though you guys have clear biases within, a lot of your editing, a lot of your writing, a lot of your reviews that everybody can see. And that for a lot of you, congratulations to you, you admit to, like Destin Legary, famously admitted to being biased towards Xbox. I think Ryan McCaffrey did the same. And I have no issues with you guys having personal biases, but it's like when you try to play both ways, you try to say, oh, you're above the console war and make fun of console warriors, quote unquote, console fanboys, quote unquote, while being console fanboys yourselves and profiting from a financial and business perspective from the console war culture, then I don't know. It's disingenuous, Now listen, I'm going to say this generation of consoles has been the most amazing one by far, primarily because of what third party and especially indie developers have done. I mean, take a look at this year alone. You've had Sword of the Sea, Clear Obscure, Expedition 33. You have had Split Fiction. You have had Hollow Knight, Silk Song. You have had oh God, what's the new one that just came out? Hades 2. All of these things are multi-platform. All of these things are from smaller teams, or teams that are not the big Ubisofts and the EA and everything like that. Not that those guys have been slacking necessarily, because I think Ubisoft had what, Assassin's Creed Shadows, I think that was this year. Like none of those things are first party studios at all, right? And if you are to bring in the first party studios, then of course you can find even more gems. Whether you really cared for what was that game that Microsoft released? God, the one with the black girl. Ah, you know the one I'm talking about, the one with the stop motion animation that they released. Um, I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna find it. It's just escaping me right now. I was really looking forward to that game. Still haven't played it though. South of Midnight. There it is. So why don't you take a look at something like South of Midnight, or even Doom: The Dark Ages? Which also had a really positive reception. Um, or you're looking with PlayStation, what they are going to be bringing out, Ghost of Yote is like what, a week from coming out, just a few days, I think it's October 2nd, you know. It's like we've had truly exciting times, no matter how you look. But I will say that this generation has given us things like Baldur's Gate 3, which again, amazing release, right? And they've given us things that are not necessarily from first party. So to say that now this generation is feeling exciting finally because you had a state of play that was particularly well received, I don't know. I just find it disingenuous. I find it again to be working into this, clickbaity culture where you're just trying to put people against each other when in reality, it's been really good. It's been a great generation. Now, listen, there are issues in gaming, okay? Like I have my issues with gaming, absolutely. I have the things on PlayStation that I particularly don't like putting games. Basically, what I don't like, just summing it all up in one sentence, is I like exclusives. I believe in exclusives, the importance, not just for the companies, but for the customers and everything of that sort, right? I don't like seeing Xbox games going to PlayStation. I don't like seeing PlayStation games going to Xbox or Nintendo. I don't like seeing Xbox or PlayStation games going to PC. I believe in exclusives. PC has their exclusives, PlayStation should keep theirs, Microsoft should keep theirs within the Xbox platform for those games that they develop for the Xbox platform. And then if they develop games like Our History Untold or something like that, and that's primarily a PC game, then sure, release that one on PC. But aside from that, Xbox should have its console exclusives, PlayStation should have its console exclusives. Nintendo, as rightly they keep doing, have their consoles exclusives. And when I say console exclusives, I don't mean that they go to PC later. It's like, no, this is the platform that you come to and where you play those games. That's what I believe in. Okay. So that's my primary gripe with this, current moment in gaming that we are in right now, because I see having the lack of exclusivity is making all of the platforms that are engaging in that practice worse. Okay. Now, Nintendo arguably is making itself worse because they're a little bit too greedy, but at least they have two exclusives. So if you take a look at this title, this is literally just this year. Okay. Now, have I played every single one of these games? Absolutely not. But do I recognize that these games have had a massive positive impact for those people that like these games? Absolutely. And again, my point is not so much to just show you this grid, but is go ahead and count how many of these games are actually exclusive versus the amount of multi-platform titles that there are. So over here we have Hades, Clear Obscure, Blueprints, Silk Song, Split Fiction, 5. Then over here we go drop down. So these are just 20 games that they've highlighted here from Shinobi on Twitter. And over here, if we go through the list, the ones that actually like, first party titles, probably Donkey Kong, right? Then we have what? Mario Kart will be another. Ghost of Yotei will be the third. Still exclusives for now. And well, not so much exclusive. I guess I would say first party because Doom the Dark Ages is multi-platform, but it is made by Microsoft first party studio. So that's 4 out of 20 games. So that's just a small list to show you that this idea that okay, so if we were to remove, let's say, a Ghost of Yotei, a Doom the Dark Ages, and a Mario Kart World, will we then say that this year has been terrible for gaming? Will we still not have the other 17 titles to entertain us? Like, what is this notion? What is this notion that we need to rely on first party, from anyone just to be able to enjoy the generation that we're in? I think this is why the community gets what is it? This is why the community gets sidetracked with these stupid conversations that we get in, because it's like, no, we don't have to. We don't have to rely on first party to enjoy the generation. I've said it before. Listen, Microsoft and Sony, and obviously to, I guess, a slightly lesser extent, but still true for Nintendo, they sold you hardware that could play games. That's it. They didn't sell you like a nebulous future of games that we're going to give you later. No, that's why you pay for those games a la carte, right? If they had sold you Ghost of Yotei back in 2020, you would just get it for free with your PlayStation. That's not what they did. They sold you the hardware and they say, hey, this hardware will play games. Okay? And that's it. That's basically it. That is the thing you bought, right? Just like a person that sells you a car says, "Hey, this vehicle will move you places." That's it. Okay. Now later on, they can sell upgrades to that vehicle. They can give it firmware updates. They can make it, even more intelligent. They can make it even more seamless with the rest of your life by having digital ecosystems and everything like that. They can update it and everything like that. But on day one, right? They sold you a vehicle that could move you places. That's what the PlayStation is. So listen, if PlayStation, for example, let's just say, didn't release another game for the next 5 years, just had a complete massive drought. You couldn't take them to court and legally win the case by saying that, oh well, they haven't released anything, this generation is terrible. No, you have the ability to play games still, right? It is a nice value proposition that it can sell you later, to be like, hey, we have also made games specifically for that piece of hardware that we sold you way back when, and now you can, use it and see if you like this particular product. But for some people that would not enjoy a Ghost of Your Day. So for them, it may as well not exist. There are some people that do not enjoy a Death Stranding too. There are some people that will not enjoy a Donkey Kong Bonanza. So for them, their value proposition that these particular titles bring is null and void. But they still have a fantastic year, as exemplified by just this 20 list of these 20 games. And of course, there's going to be way more games than this that were released that are going to be interesting to people. But I just find the conversation just gets so stuck in this console war mentality from the people that pretend that they do not care about the console war. Like, that's crazy. That's the thing that I absolutely hate about these types of discussions that these kinds of titles do this kind of videos, they, they lean so heavy into the console war while pretending that they're not doing it. And that's disingenuous as fuck. And then they pollute the conversation from this perspective wherein people are going to judge the entire generation just based on whether or not they subjectively found that a particular first party provider gave them a title that they liked or not. Like, no, listen, I'm not a fan of the Xbox, right? As a platform as a whole, but I am a fan of the hardware. I think that both pieces of hardware actually, like if you were to forget about the promises that they made and how they may not stand up to all of that, whether that's 12 teraflops, eat monsters for breakfast, whether that is that they what is it, the Series S will be a 1440p machine, or whether that is that the PlayStation 5 will be able to have 8K somewhere. Why was that on the box? Who knows? If we take away all of those promises that everybody can poke fun at, they are three genuinely good pieces of hardware for what they offer. If you're happy with what they offer, they're genuinely good at it. They can deliver you the games at the best of that hardware's capability, and you can have a good time. And that's really what we got to talk about when we are judging the generation. What were the quality of the games that we have received in the generation? And I'm sorry, but the quality has been far higher than before. Far higher than before. I hate people that, okay, I don't hate the people that say, but I do hate the opinion that says that somehow games were better back then. They were not better, And listen, I understand the frustration of having a day one patch, a week one patch, a week six patch, a week eight patch, because it just apparently they didn't, actually build the game at a functional level. I understand that frustration. That is one of the things that is wrong with gaming that we do need to improve at. But I'm sorry, guys, you're looking at the world through rose tinted lenses. The only difference between now and back then is that back then, the developers had no way to remedy the faulty things that they sold you. A lot of developers sold faulty products that they knew were faulty, but once it was out the door, there was nothing to be done about it. Now they have kept releasing faulty products, and sometimes they have the opportunity well, they always have the opportunity to do about something about it now, but sometimes they take the opportunity to do something about it to improve on that initially faulty product that they sold you. That is something that needs to change. Okay. But when I hear people say that, oh, games will just work better in the past from day one, I'm like, I don't know. That's not how my memory works. Because I was there day one for a lot of those games, and they were broken as hell. They they didn't function. Some of them were really really bad, but you had to put up with it because there was no way to remedy that situation. That was it. Unless they somehow later decided to do like a special edition, like an anniversary edition, and then they took the time to put in some of those patches into that particular build, you were stuck with the initial product that you received. So, good or bad, that's what you got. That's it. So, yeah. Now, let me take a chance to say hello to the chat. I think over here we have D, but he said he had to go to work. So, hey, I hope that work is good to you when you come back. Niku, man, I hope you're doing good. Let me say a quick hello there in the chat for you. But yeah, aside from that, guys, another thing that came up, and I want to touch on is a tweet that I made because for some reason people what is it? People like to come over to my tweets and create trouble. I don't know what it is. There's just something about the idea of a person of color speaking of the mind, of a black man speaking of the mind, that really rubs them the wrong way. Okay, so let's take a look together at what we're talking about here. So over here, you're going to see that KKGN created this post. Yikes! And he says Xbox. Well, he quotes. Well, he refers back to an article saying Xbox Phil Spencer digs at PS5 Pro, saying we're not growing the market with $1,000 consoles, right? And then it continues to say Microsoft Gaming CEO Phil Spencer talked about the controversial price of Sony's new PS5 Pro, saying that we're not going to go to market $1,000 consoles, which it made the rounds back when it was first being discussed. Fantastic, great. But here's the thing: Microsoft, in the new context, has now released a $1,000 console in partnership with Asus. Okay, now I made a tweet and I said I called his BS when he said it. The man didn't grow the market with a $300 console either, which is true. When the Series S was $300, he didn't grow the market with that. So I always found it to be extremely disingenuous to be like, well, Sony's strategy isn't going to work. Look at my strategy that's all about price point, that's also not working, right? Because he had a $300 console, he had a $500 console, neither of them lit anyone's life on fire. It just seemed like it was really bad taste. I called it, I thought it was bullshit. I said it was bullshit at the time. But then I continued to say, and this is the main point of this tweet: one day I hope scientists study the sort of invincibility shield Phil Spencer has on Xbox gamers. Man has been letting them down for over a decade and they still defend him. I was listening to Much's podcast the other day, and there were a lot of guests that came through, and this was just like in the last 2 or 3 weeks or so. A lot of the guests that came through, and they were all like, they made so many comments. I just found myself like, wow, how does this man do it? The invisibility shield was at full strength. The first is the one I remember the most is that Tim Dog came back and he was like, "Oh well, I was too hard on Phil because there were times in my life when Phil was nice to me and I was so angry at the time." I'm like, "Bro, how were you too hard on Phil though? He's been failing you for like what 13 years? Ever since he pretty much took over the Xbox One generation, he's been a huge failure. He's been terrible at it. He's been a complete fuck up as a leader of Xbox. Like when you were mad at him and when you were going full ball mad at him, that was normal. Because after 10 years of being let down, you have the right to crash out a little bit. That's crazy. That's crazy. Now he comes back. He's like, "Oh well, he was nice to me." Like, yeah, okay, cool. You can like the guy as a person. That's absolutely fine, Team Dog. Like you can like Phil as an individual human being with whom you can have great, good gaming times, good gaming history. Absolutely fine. That's perfectly fine. But understand this: as the leader of Xbox, you can have 100% gripes, and that's okay. Listen, I did in my life, I did with a lot of clients, right? I do photography, I do a whole bunch of other things where I have to interface with people on an individual level. There are people that I love as individuals. I can hang out with them, I can talk to them, I can respect them, but I absolutely hate as clients. Like I don't want to work with them. I don't. Like recently a person called me, not didn't call me, texted me, and she wanted a photo shoot. And I started asking her, like, hey, what's the shoot? What does it involve? What do you expect as a delivery method? By the time I was in my third or fourth question to understand the scope of the project, she was already just like hassling me that, oh, she doesn't want to give that many details. I should just throw a price at her Just give her a quote out of, I guess, nowhere. Just put a number out my ass. And I was like, okay, give me 5K then. Because if you want to have a no questions asked price, so if you want to have a price with me asking no questions, then I'm going to give you a no questions asked price because I don't know what I'm getting myself into. I'm going to ask you a price that's high enough to cover almost anything reasonable that you could possibly expect. So I just was like, okay, give me 5K. Then she's like, hell no. And I'm like, that's fine. You know, I don't even think we should work together because we don't work the same. If we can't even get through the, initial understanding, what is the scope of the project you're putting in front of me, right? Then there's no point in us working together. And listen, I don't blame her. A lot of the clients that come to me, they're like, hey, I want photos. How much does it cost? The people will say something like, oh, I have a wedding. How much is it going to cost me? I don't know. I don't know where your wedding is. Is it a destination wedding? Is it down at the local town hall? Is it going to be at some national park that I need to get photography permits for? Like, I don't know where that is. How long is it going to take? What are the things that you expect? Do you expect something that is like local, made by a local photographer, one man, one camera kind of a deal? Or are you expecting in your head something that requires 6 or 9 different people working, 4, 5, 6 different angles at the same time with videographers involved? I don't know what the scope of your project is, but a lot of people want the shorthand, they want the quick version, but there's nothing quick about it because it's your wedding day. You should receive something that is close to what you imagine, or hopefully even better than what you could have imagined, you know. But in the day of social media, people see sort of like the best that is possible, but they don't understand that the best that is possible is at a really high price, at a really high cost. So the point is this: I like my friend as a friend, but I don't want to work with her as a client. Team Dog, you can like Phil Spencer as a personal friend, but as the leader of Xbox, no, you don't have to like him. You don't have to go easy on him because he's your personal friend. You know, that's it. That's the truth of it. So I think that it's demonstrably clear that Phil Spencer has been making the wrong major bets. Because here's the thing: small errors are fine. Like Crackdown 3. Crackdown 3, it was a big public embarrassment, but it was relatively a small error, right? You tried a project, it didn't work out. Scalebound, small error. You tried a project, it didn't work out. With PlayStation recently, Concord, small error. You tried a project, it didn't work out. Does it give you a black eye in the public arena? Absolutely. Absolutely it does. Should you get made fun of? Of course you should. But in grand scheme of things, there are small mistakes here and there, right? But the problem is that Phil Spencer has delivered major mistakes. For example, Game Pass Day and Date, that was a major mistake. That literally taught your audience that your product was not worth buying at full price and was worth having at a discounted price. And not only a price that was discounted, but a price that you heavily, heavily cheapened. At a certain point, you could get like 3 months of Game Pass for like $1. And that was still going to include every single game that Xbox made during that period. That's crazy. That's a major faux pas. That's a major misstep. So I don't know. It's just like that's a big one. The Xbox One X releasing without any exclusive title that was going to show the power of the Xbox One X when it was undoubtedly the most powerful console in the world. That's a major misstep. The series consoles having two different SKUs so that developers will now be forced to optimize for, let's face it, the Series S, while as a hardware platform, it delivers the best that it can, it shouldn't exist because it has held back the bigger brother. And in many ways, it has held back this particular generation of consoles. That was a major misstep. And then on top of it all, you didn't even come out with great exclusives at the launch of the consoles. That was a major misstep. As well as that, what happened with Halo Infinite? That was a major misstep. A major misstep because Halo is literally the portmanteau, is literally it carries the entire brand. Phil Spencer said it himself. If we lose our way with Halo, we've lost our way with Xbox. And then you went on to lose your way with Halo. How is it that people do not see that this man has been letting them down for over a decade? Now, I did some major mistakes, I did some smaller ones, and then there's a bunch of mistakes in between. This whole new this is an Xbox campaign. Just to briefly touch on the Xbox ROG Ally X. I think this is one of those middle of the road mistakes. You are diluting the waters in a way that is not necessarily going to destroy anything in and of itself, but it is going to have a bigger negative damage than just one title being poorly received. You know what I mean? Like, it's worse than a Starfield, for example. Starfield, I still see it as a minor mistake. You tried a project, it didn't quite work out in your favor. Oh well, at least you tried. But to dilute what the meaning of an Xbox is, to include, let's face it, PCs in that, and to be like, oh, this is an Xbox because it has an Xbox button on it. I don't know, man. That that's gonna come back and bite you a little bit harder in the ass later down the line. So that's it. Listen, Phil Spencer, major, major mistake. But we wouldn't be talking about this particular thing if we were just going to share my opinion. I'm here to talk about the disingenuousness in the gaming community and the gaming conversation. So let's see how people have been disingenuous. So you see here, I said that the man didn't grow the market with a $300 console either. And I think in this either, there's an implication that I'm referencing $1,000 consoles, which they have released. Now, a lot of people have tried to say that Microsoft didn't release it, Asus did. No, Microsoft released it in partnership with Asus. They also like they get to claim it. Their title, their name, Xbox, is in the product title itself. I'm not saying that they get necessarily equal gain, but they get enough of an ownership of that product to be like, yeah, this is a Microsoft released device. They released it. So Phil Spencer released a $1,000 console. But then, would you believe it? A lot of people started telling me that it's not a console. Look at this guy, Lazy Gamer. Lazy, how are you going to be lazy like that? Lazy Gamer, it's not a console, it's a PC handheld. Isn't that sad? Isn't that sad when people say that? Look how disingenuous that is. So it's like literally you're trying to be like, haha, gotcha. It's a handheld PC, not a console. But it's like, is that even the point of the conversation? Is it really? Because I was more talking about Phil Spencer and the fact that he's invulnerable in the, like no one wants to take him to task for it in the Xbox world. That was really the point of my conversation. But people try to make it seem like it doesn't matter or like it's not, what is it? That my point is not worth listening to by calling out what they see as a mistake. But they want to play semantics. But here's the problem: you can't play semantics with me. Did you really think that I would? Oh my god, that's so stupid. Well, here's what Asus calls it. Asus calls all of the ROG allies, handhelds, every single one of them, they call them consoles in the official user manual. Look at that. Using your ROG handheld console. Caring for your ROG handheld console. Getting to know your ROG handheld console. Look at that right there in big, beautiful, bold letters. Using your ROG handheld console. Because of course it's a console. You know it's a console. What the hell? And here's the thing. Or you might be like, well, that's just what Asus calls it. But here's the thing. Handhelds are called consoles. Here is what Nintendo Switch calls. That's what Nintendo calls the Switch too. A handheld console. Console isn't a dirty word. You know that, right? And console doesn't mean, oh, it uses something other than Windows. No, there can be consoles that use Windows as the operating system. That's what the ROG Ally X, for example, is. Okay. So, anyways, I just the Chaos Lounge. I don't even know why this guy comes up to my feed, but he's like, but this isn't an Xbox, right? Who who in this street or at any point have I ever doubted the legitimacy of the Xboxness of this console. He says this isn't a console, right? Again, when did I say that? Why are you saying this? Like you're setting up this strawman argument that this is a thing that I've said in the past. That's crazy, you know. And then he's like, "Oh, are you saying this is a console and it is an Xbox?" I'm confused. Which is it? I'm like, both. It's both a console and an Xbox. I don't know. It says it right there in the title. Asus calls it an Xbox, so it's true because Asus says it, and then they called it a console, which is true because Asus says it. So who am I to argue? I don't know. Now I think it's a PC which identifies itself as an Xbox, but we're in the age of pronouns now. Okay, we have lots of things going on. We have white people wanting to be black. We have what is it? Asian people wanting to be black. We have black people still wanting to be black, but at least white passing. You know, there's a whole thing. There's a whole thing. I don't know. It's very confusing out here. But I just accept people as they are. Okay. So you know what? You are a PC and you identify as Xbox. You know, you've got the Xbox aesthetic with your button at the side. You know what? I'm gonna call you an Xbox. It's an Xbox. The Chaos Lounge. It's an Xbox, and it's a console because Asus said it, and they're the people that made it. And I just go straight to the creator. Okay, my mother taught me well. You go straight to Jesus. Okay, and in this case, the creator of this console is a manufacturer, and that manufacturer calls it both an Xbox and a console. So both are true, right? So whenever you reply, you know, oh, this person, I love this one. He says yes, handheld console, not a home console. What the fuck is this point? What is this point? What is this? Don't they use it at home? What makes a PlayStation 5 a home console? Could you not use it at your friend's house? Could you not use it like at a, I don't know, at a workplace? Could you not use, like, it's just no. This console, listen, when we're saying you this is a home console, okay? It's for homes only. If you go to a convention, you can't use it. You can't use it. You can't have it. You can't have it. No, no. This is not for conventions or event halls or dormitories. It's for home. It's a home console, okay? And the Switch and our Ally, those are, you know, those are handheld consoles. You can't dock them, okay? If you dock them, they don't work. If you put them down, they don't work anymore. They are handheld consoles, okay? They are powered by the warmth of your hands, okay? They're handheld. You can't sit them down because now this is the level of semantics that we try to go to in order to disprove a point that was stupid in the first place. Oh, that's crazy, you know? And then over here, this guy says, I mean, what console did Xbox release that is $1,000? And I'm like, the one discussed above, like, clearly, that one. Like, are these people slow, you know? And then what do you say? Oh, so now it's an Xbox handheld? I'm like, what? Again, when in my tweet did I say this is not an Xbox? What? Why are you trying to argue a point I didn't make? That's crazy. That's crazy. You know? Oh, we saw the ponies have been screaming. I don't know who these ponies are. I don't care. Okay? I'm not a pony. I never liked that title. I never liked that name. Like what? I prefer PlayStation and I have critical thinking skills. That makes me a pony. No, no, thank you. I'm a black man. Don't compare me to animals. Okay, I don't like it. Okay, the ponies have been screaming that it's not an Xbox handheld and that it's an Asus handheld, but now the price is a bit crazy. You want to run with it's an Xbox. What? Oh my god, that's crazy. This guy, Gabriel, okay, Gabriel said you're halfway there. It's handheld, not console. You know, and it's more likely a PC does have Xbox OS like Ayano, normal ROG Ally, or the Lenovo Legion Go. Wait, what? Did he think that the normal ROG Ally had Xbox operating system? I don't even understand that particular sentence. It's like, and as the market knows these devices isn't cheap, okay, or aren't cheap, maybe the Steam Deck, but still the weakest of them all. Listen, again, I haven't You know how sometimes, a tweet or any point or any starting point can be a good point for discussion, right? Like we can start pretty much anywhere and then we can take it wherever we need to go. Okay, I can understand that. So you can start off on my tweet and you can use that as a springboard to dive into different pools. I get it. It's understandable. But could we first address the point of my tweet? I didn't argue any of these things. I didn't say that this was a console or not a console, or it's an Xbox or not an Xbox. I didn't say that where they had one operating system versus another. I didn't compare the market economics as to why this device is more expensive than something like a Steam Deck or way more expensive than things that people expected, which is ironic because again, out of all of the discussion that I've seen, I was one of the only ones that was guaranteeing people that this thing would be $900 or more. I don't understand. It's like I'm the one that keeps saying that a company can charge whatever it wants for its products and you can pay whatever you deem acceptable. That's perfectly fine. If you think that $0 is what is acceptable for a particular product, then pay nothing and just go without that product. Don't steal it, please. It's not a chance to have a five-finger discount. Don't steal it. Just go without the product in your life, and that's perfectly fine. If you think that this ROG Xbox Ally X handheld PC gaming console is worth $1,000 or more, hey man, go for it. Power to you. Okay. If you want to call it an Xbox, call it an Xbox. If you want to call it a PC, call it a PC. Personally, me using my freedom of speech, I call it a transbox. Okay. It is a PC that imagines itself to be something that it is not. But we all have to call it because we're in 2025, and that's just the way that the world works now. So hey, PC identifies an Xbox. It's an Xbox. I can accept, do as the Romans do. You know what I mean? That's basically what I'm saying. But it's crazy. It is absolutely crazy. You know. Then over here, I show him the proof, right? I show him the proof of that it is an ROG handheld console. Then he says, okay, it's a handheld console labeled Xbox logo. Does it include the Xbox operating system? Again, I don't know what point you're trying to make. I never said anything about its operating system one way or the other. You said it's not a console. I show you it's a console. Now you want to say it's a handheld console with an Xbox. Again, I guess we agree on that. I agree it is a handheld console with an Xbox logo. Okay, cool. And then he's like, oh, he's not defending the man, talking about the idea that it's a third party device. Is okay. It is a third party device, I agree, but it is co branded with the first party company. So if it was a game, I guess it would be a second party game, but it doesn't matter. That's again arguing semantics. The point is, Microsoft released a $1,000 product that is a console in partnership with another company. And that flies in the face of the quoted quote from Phil over here, which was that he is not going to grow the market of $1,000 consoles. But now, ironically, he has released a $1,000 console. Do you see the logic? He has walked back on his own words and embarrassed himself. And that is what KJN and I are pointing at and laughing at because the man is a complete fuck up when it comes to being a gaming executive of a major component of the industry that we all partake in. So there is that. Okay. Now he says here, I'm not arguing. I'm discussing your idea. I don't know if you are really discussing my idea, man, because it is what it is. Let's just move forward. Okay. This person here, it's not a console, and they use the R word. That's not even nice, man. That is not even nice. Over here, I show him it's a console. Now he says, "Oh, you do know that's not the same thing." What? I didn't create the manual, bro. You're just, you know what I mean. This is what I mean by people are disingenuous. You literally show them proof that it is the console after using such a rude term, so rude, right? I didn't say anything about him or the fact that he can't spell dragon, right? I didn't say anything about that. I didn't point any of these things out, right? But again, you come out so aggressive, you're proven wrong in one tweet, and so just be like, oh yeah, my bad. You want to be like, oh well, that's not the same thing. No, it is the same thing. It's the same word. When now people want to like pick apart what the word console means. No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. We're not going to do that. You're being disingenuous. You should be ashamed of yourself. And you need to spell dragon right. That's crazy. That's crazy. You know? Then he says, this person, Bickel Bok. Well, as someone who actually has experience in the game industry and knows what they're talking about, he didn't lie to you. Okay. I don't know why he says he didn't lie. Full stop. To you. But then the to you isn't capital. I don't understand. Grammar is beyond these people. This is not a console sold at a loss. He meant sold at a loss. Okay. We're not going to get on people for typos. Typos happen. This is not a console sold at a loss. This is a handheld computer sold at a profit, not by Microsoft. And again, it's a console, bro. It's a console, bro. Okay. He says this person, Optimistic Prime, says, why do you guys keep posting this? You guys say that the new handheld is even an Xbox, didn't you? Make up your mind, is it an Xbox or not? I'm like, who the hell is you guys? Why is it that you come to my comment section and then want to dump on me the words of other people? That's disingenuous in itself. I don't care what other people have said. In fact, it may not even be relevant what I've said in the past. What is relevant is what I'm saying now. So, if you're going to engage in the tweet, because you don't have to, you can just leave it behind. But if you are going to engage in the tweet, then talk about what I'm saying now. What I'm alluding to in this tweet is that Phil Spencer is a hypocritical, colossal fuck up that has been letting the Xbox people down for over a decade and yet has an invisibility shield. It's stronger than adamantium, you know? It's just, I don't understand it. I don't understand it. And that's it, you know? Okay? Over here, and what $1,000 console are they using to grow the market? I mean, listen, this guy says the ROG, last time I checked, is just a branded Asus product targeted as enthusiasts. I don't understand, like, it's not a, I mean, it's branded by Xbox. Do you mean it's brand, like when you say branded Asus product? You do know that like there's an Xbox branding on it, so that means that Microsoft is involved. Like I don't know. I don't even want to argue that. You know, over here, James Stannard, they have 500,000,000 monthly active users. The trick is to let gamers bring their own devices rather than charging up a big upfront fee for the privilege of playing the ecosystem. This is a very weird tweet to be making when they just are charging a big upfront fee for the privilege of having the ROG Xbox Ally X. That's I'm just gonna reply to that. Like the new ROG Xbox Ally handhelds consoles that do charge a big upfront fee. Like you're literally saying that the trick is to, I guess, eliminate a high upfront price, but at the same time, we're talking specifically about a moment where we're talking about a product that has a huge upfront price. That's crazy, you know. But yeah, listen, man, Six Eye, you get the point. I know, right? How this guy gets away with all these lies is surprising. Man, I'm telling you, I can't figure it out. Scientists need to just capture the metaphysical essence of the Phil Spencer shield. And from there, we could have our next technological revolution. We could have indestructible materials, infinite power delivery. I don't know. I don't know. We could probably create a Dyson sphere out of that shield. It's crazy. I don't understand it. I literally don't understand it. Some trolling there. This person Podge said he pretended to be a friend to Xbox learners. He's one of us, they said. Clearly, their mistakes are also backed by a $3 trillion company. And listen, that's the truth. The truth is Phil Spencer pretended to be one of them. He said, "Hey, I'm one of you. I care about Xbox. I care about games, and I care about your experience on this platform and everything." And that was perfectly fine. That was part of his branding. But evidently, he hasn't delivered on any of that. And they're still defending him. Like this guy, Woodstar, that says the quote was about traditional PCs. What the? No, it wasn't. The quote literally says, we are not going to grow the market with $1,000 consoles. How are there? I don't want to read the rest of his tweet because that's the disingenuousness. Like, listen, in order to defend Phil Spencer, they would twist themselves into a pretzels. This guy literally said the quote was about traditional PCs when the quote literally says consoles, and when the context for the quote literally says Xbox boss. That's a tongue twister. Xbox boss Phil Spencer digs at PS5 Pro, which is, to my last point of knowledge, not a traditional PC. I don't, man. This is that there is a perfect one to end on because that's exactly what I mean. Xbox people will twist themselves into the tightest knots in order to defend Phil Spencer, and I don't understand it. By the way, there was a person later on, in the tweet that said that, oh, aren't you the person who is like upset at Sony because they put Helldivers 2 on PlayStation, also on Xbox? Yes, yes, I am. Yes, they should not have done that. If they shouldn't do that, they should delist it from Xbox and delist it from PC. Listen, all of these companies should keep the exclusives where they are. Microsoft, that flight simulator BS, that shouldn't be happening. It shouldn't happen with any of their games. I feel the same way for all of these people, all of these things, and all of these people. I have never ever gone to one business in my life and be like, I think you should put your product on your competitor's platform, whatever that may be. For example, I have never gone to a McDonald's and be like, yeah, I think you should sell your burgers at Hungry Jack's. Hungry Jack's is the Australian version of Burger King. It is what it is. Now you understand. I have never gone to, a particular, I don't know, any business and be like, oh yeah, go sell your products over there at the other one. No. No, because I understand that this is your competitive advantage. If I want to, have the benefit of this particular product, I have to interface with you. That's it. I've never gone to a BMW dealership and said, you know what? The Toyota dealership is much closer to me, geographically speaking. So I need you to sell me your car through them. No, never happened. Never happened. So I don't know. I don't know. I just don't understand. So it is what it is. You know, it is what it is. I think there were a few other things I wanted to hit on that I was going to show the disingenuous in the gaming community. But even just the things I've touched on that are already so all consuming that I'm just like, yo, I can't deal with these people. I literally cannot deal with these people, you know? Um Oh, by the way, this is the same quote, but with a bit more context from it's one from Zubitech. Okay, here's Microsoft Gaming CEO Phil Spencer. To reach new players, we need to be creative and adaptive of new business models, new devices, and new ways of access. We are not going to grow the console market with $1,000 consoles. So for the person that said that he was talking about a traditional PC, come on, man, read it and weep. I know you're not gonna read it because you're not gonna watch a video that could possibly disprove your stupidity, but hey, it is what it is. For the people that are watching, we can see there that in the full quote, he literally says that he was talking about the console market. And of course, he releases a $1,000 console, as we have so well and clearly established. Okay? Oh man. Oh, look at this person. And he's still correct. This is the traditional console. Oh my god, that's crazy. I'm telling you, man. Phil Spencer has a grip on these people. I don't understand it. I will never get it. I just, it needs to be studied by people smarter than me, more dedicated than me. There's crazy. There's absolutely crazy. Look, I don't think I have anything else more to say about the disingenuousness in the gaming community. That was basically what I've got. I think that there's a lot of commentators online that I listen to. Um, that really let the community down. I think that there's lots of people who what is it? So Otaku says that Phil Spencer is the biggest liar and he's still the Xbox guy's hero. When he says Xbox assembled, they will all come to defend. That's 100% true. Otaku again. For months, I saw people point out and complain about PlayStation money hatching games, but Hades 2 isn't on PlayStation and it's on Switch, and nobody keeps the same energy. Hades 2 isn't on PlayStation. What? That's crazy. No, 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 no. Hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on. Hold on. Let me check that right quick. That's insane. La, 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 la. Let me check that. Sorry, apparently I don't know how to work the checking game. Hades. That's crazy. You're right. Oh, that's okay. To be fair, I'm happy about that because guys know I'm on my gaming sabbatical. Yo, Phil Bosch, you're coming towards the end of the stream, man. You know, you're coming towards the end. We've had a lot of fun discussing the disingenuousness of the gaming community and everything like that. So, mm, yeah, you should go back and rewind. It's gonna be. I hope it was a good little episode. But yeah, no, Hades 2 is not on PlayStation. Yo, Otaku, like I was saying, the gaming sabbatical that I'm on at the moment, I have to have an exception that counts for me, and that is maybe I can keep playing Slay the Spire through my PC because I don't normally play on PC. So that'll be that. So let me get guys, let me know if you want me to play some Slay the Spire since I've got it on PC now. I don't My console is off at the moment, so my console is off, and yeah, that's it. But listen, if Hades 2 isn't even on PlayStation, that's fantastic. That means I'm not missing out. I'm just gonna let that ride out. That's great for me, fantastic for me. I couldn't care. Well, I mean, I actually do care, and I'm glad that it's not. But yeah, that's yeah. People don't say anything about that, don't do they? If PlayStation had had Hades 2 exclusive, oh, the world would have blown up. I definitely would have known about it. I definitely would have known about it. But Nintendo has it exclusive. I think it's Nintendo and PC, right? So Nintendo has it, and that's perfectly fine. Oh, that's crazy. That's crazy. This is how disingenuous it is. Man, the gaming community, man. Oh, man. Yo, Otaku, the gaming community is cooked. It's cooked because we just never keep the same energy. Never keep the same energy. And when you try to keep the same energy, like I do, you are labeled as a person who is either a fanboy or a console warrior or just, worse from there. It's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. But yeah, listen, if you're a person that's argued against exclusivity, especially when you said you've argued against not just exclusivity from first party properties, but from third party properties and saying that, oh, Sony money hats games and everything like that, then you should be, the same way, whether it is Xbox, PlayStation, or Nintendo that is doing the deed that you don't like. Again, I don't like the lack of exclusivity, whether it comes from Xbox or PlayStation. I don't like it. And I'm talking about true exclusivity. This whole PC shit, I don't like it. Oh, that brings me to one thing that I will take the time to talk about. So listen, Phil Bosch, if you're still here, man, we're gonna keep the show going for you. Guys, let's have a one-on-one right now. We need to get the PC gamers out of this fucking community. Oh my god. Oh my god. All of them are insufferable. All of them are insufferable. And listen, I will understand and I will accept the validity of the perspective of people who primarily play on PC but still heavily invest into the console ecosystem. People like, for example, Broken Games HDR, they're absolutely fine. Absolutely fine. He has a perspective that is worth having because, again, he is invested enough into the console ecosystem, even though he will primarily play most of his games on PC if he had a choice, so on and so forth, blah, blah, blah. Okay, cool. Aside from that, though, PC gamers need to get the fuck out of this community. Oh my God. Oh my God. Listen, I've said this before, but I'll say it again in case I haven't said it on this channel. PC gamers are not console gamers. We are not the same. And it's not even a matter of one is better than the other. It's just the fact that they are just different. Just the way that we see Nintendo gamers are not PlayStation gamers. Yes, there are some people that cross over because they just happen to enjoy both ecosystems. But for the most part, the PlayStation gamers, meal of the day does not look anything the same as the Nintendo gamers meal of the day, and it certainly doesn't look the same as the mobile gamers meal of the day. It doesn't. It doesn't. We are not the same communities. These companies are lying to us, trying to tell us that we are all gamers. We are not all gamers. We are not all gamers. Listen, there was a time when I used to ride a lot on my bicycle. Okay, I have one of those bicycles that honestly, if it had been the the technology like 5 years before I got it, it could have been in the peloton in the Tour de France, like just a high-end bicycle. I had a high-end bicycle. I was a cyclist. Okay, some people will say I was a bike rider. Okay, cool, but understand that I was in a completely different league in a completely different world from a person that just bought his bicycle at Costco. Yes, we were both cyclists, but we were doing it completely differently for completely different purposes, going to completely different destinations. It is what it is. Okay? And that's fine. Okay? And guess what? The companies that advertise to a person like me that was as invested into cycling as I was, were not spending that same advertising dollar trying to get a guy that just bought a bicycle from a Costco or a Big W or a Target or whatever. They knew that we were completely different spheres. Just because we both happen to move things, with like gears and wheels and a chain, it didn't mean that we were somehow the same, market. We are not the same market. Okay. If you have a high-end watch, okay, you are not the same target market as a person. Like if you're a person that buys like, Omegas and Patek Philippe's and, all of these other like high-end watch brands, you're not in the same class as a person who is just buying like, I don't know, a Samsung smartwatch or an Apple smartwatch. It's not, you're not the same. You're not the same. Like, yeah, you individually could have both. You could have a high-end Patek Philippe and as well as a Samsung smartwatch. Absolutely, it's your choice as an individual. But as a target segment, you're not the same people. And listen, PC gamers are not us. Okay, their type of games that dominate their platform do not really look like the type of games that dominate our platform. Just our mobile gamers games do not look like the games that we play. Look at what happened with Death Stranding when it went to iPhone. It sold like what, 50 copies? I don't even know. you know? But the point is, people were thinking that, oh, look, the smartphone is going to replace the console. No one bought it over there because they don't want your product. And this is what I want to tell these companies. Listen, Microsoft, you went day and date with PC back in like what, 2019? What benefit did that do? What benefit did that create? Have PC people have they been playing South of Midnight? Have they? Did they play it? Have they been? Be honest. Were you like, oh, thank God we released South of Midnight on PC? Hmm? They haven't, have they? Because they don't give a fuck, do they? They don't give a fuck. And listen, Doom started on PC. So yeah, you took their game, you eventually made it a console game, and then you brought it back to them. Slightly better, I would say, right? Arguably so, arguably, right? Even though they still love the originals, apparently. I don't know. But the point is, it started its life over there, so it has a bit of a pull. I understand. But what about franchises that you create brand new? Again, Bethesda games, they started their life being heavily PC based, and then they came over to console. Okay, so when you take a Starfield over there, yeah, it can have some traction. But what about the brand new IPs? Look at yourself, Microsoft. Admit it. PC gamers aren't your savior. There's 300 million of them per month on Steam alone, and they don't give a fuck about your product. And if that's true for Microsoft products, PlayStation, come here. Come here. Look me in the eye. That's 10 times more true for you. PC gamers don't want your shit. Accept it. Accept it. Put it in your heart. Put it in your core. PC gamers don't want my shit. It's not that your shit isn't good. The thing is, your shit is not the shit they want. And you are never, ever going to make them want that shit. So stop ruining your brand identity to go to appeal to a set of gamers that don't even like your products. They don't want it. PC gamers do not want PlayStation games. PC gamers do not, and again, people are going to be like, oh, what about Helldivers 2? That is the exception that proves the rule. And again, that's what an exception is. It is exempt from it, but it doesn't mean that it somehow invalidates the truth from which it is born. PlayStation gamers want PlayStation games. Nintendo gamers want Nintendo games. Xbox gamers want PlayStation games. PC gamers do not want PlayStation games. That's it. That is the truth of it right there, laid bare, so easy to understand for you. So simple. And a lot of people that are going to pretend to be this kind of like, oh, I'm here for the people, I'm here so that every gamer can play no matter the device that they're on. No, you're making it worse for everybody. And this is why, if you were to do this for any other industry, people would laugh at you. If you went to a car dealership and said, "Oh, well, you guys should be selling. Oh, are you Rolls Royce? Listen, you happen to just be 15 minutes down the road from my house. So could you please sell a Toyota, something that I can afford?" They will laugh you out the room. They will laugh at you. And listen, mobile gamers are laughing at you. Every time that you guys, PlayStation has tried it before, right? Do you guys remember the PlayStation phone? Every time that you've tried to take your brand and transition it to another medium, whether it is mobile or PC, those users have laughed at you. They've laughed you out of the room because they don't want your shit. They don't want your shit. It will be like what is it? Um it will be like I think if Apple Maps released on Android, do they have Apple Maps on Android? I, they don't, do they? I don't think they do. But if Apple Maps released on Android, I don't think people will use it on Android. I don't. I think people will be like, why the fuck would I use your product when I have Google Maps? I think that's what it will be. Because Android users don't want your Apple shit. Listen, if Samsung released like, I don't know, their messaging service, or remember when they had S Voice or Bixby? They have Bixby now. Imagine if Samsung released Bixby on Apple devices. Listen, first of all, people don't even want Bixby on Samsung devices, right? Like, because Bixby is like an Xbox product. Even the people on Xbox don't want Xbox games. But the point is, even Samsung users don't want to use Bixby. But imagine if they released that on Apple, because they were like, oh, look, there's like 200 more, I don't know, million or like 3 billion users we could appeal to. You would be laughed out of the room. PlayStation, you're taking hits for nothing. These people, they don't want your shit. They want to pirate it at best. At best. That's crazy. That's crazy, man. Listen, let me read some of the chats over here. Console is where gaming is at its purest. I agree so much. PC gamers mostly talk about the rigs and optimal game settings that builders like to tinker and game on the side. Listen, Oni Diver, man, you hit that nail on the fucking head. That's what it is. PC gamers, do you know what they're actually super attracted by? Besides their own library of games, which I find to be strange and just I don't even want to talk about them, okay? But besides that, which is a tertiary concern to them, their primary concern is the actual hardware that they have put together. Because they believe that putting together a PC somehow makes them part of the cool club. Listen, I've put together my PC. I've done it many times. I've done at least 3 or 4 PCs by now, right? Some for me, some for friends. It is what it is. Cool. I've done it a lot. I don't think that putting together a PC somehow bestows upon you this rarefied air that these people believe that it does. But then I'm also not in love with the hardware. Listen, I have a beautiful PC. I really like it because I'm an aesthetic bitch. I like it. I am vainglorious like that. Okay, I like my PC the way that it looks. I like the LED lights. I like the LED fans as much as the next person. But again, I don't think that somehow it confers to me this higher air, this better than thou attitude that these people pretend it's real. It doesn't. It doesn't. And the thing is, these PC gamers, they do not care about the game itself. A person will buy themselves a 5080, a 240 hertz monitor at like 1440p, and then they will purposefully make the game look worse so they can get higher frames. That's crazy. Every time I hear Dev Singer on Mooch's podcast just talk about just oh my god, I can't even I just thinking about his voice makes my I just get a migraine. Oh my god. Listen, man. Listen, I think that much with the Crossfire podcast as one of the most dynamic, most entertaining podcasts on YouTube. But my god, is that show dragged down by the fact that Def Singer is a regular on it. Oh my god, that is torture. That is torture. That shows you that no matter how good something is, the devil always works his magic to just ruin it somehow. Literally, literally. The Death Singer is devil spawn. I'm telling you, just sent by the fallen one. Because why? Why that voice is so grating? And then you could his voice is insufferable, and yet somehow the things then he says after that just that even more so. Even more so, Jay Barry called him out the other day. Matter of fact, I'm gonna find Jay Barry Street. That was another thing I wanted to talk about. I'm gonna find Jay Barry Street because it is ridiculous the what this guy did, and Jay Barry called it out, and it just deserves to be highlighted for the people. Okay, I only have a tiny audience, but man, we really have to call it out when we see it. Okay, so let me find it. Over here. Oh, I want to go to my profile. That's why I was not finding it. That's crazy. I'm so not used to going to my own profile on Twitter. And yes, still we'll never call it X. We'll never call it that way. It is Twitter, and it shall forever be that way. Okay, so yeah, that was Jay Barry. Yeah, here we go. Here we go. Jay Barry doing the Lord's work. This. You know what? This is an angel. He said, Dev Singer, stop lying to the people, man. Listen, look at this guy. Look at what Dev Singer did, okay? Over here, he was talking about the state of play. Code Vein 2 is a day one, of course. Dynasty Warriors 3 Remastered is fire. The PC smash hit is finally coming to consoles in last epoch. You better go play Deus Ex Remasters if you're a real RPG fan. I better not see you hyping Zero Parades game is top-down PC trash. So you see, all of these games is high form, right? So Service is just a bigger budget Returnal. Not a bad thing, but not groundbreaking either. Fuck you for that one. Piss off. Okay? Alright, then he continues. Okay? Wolverine looks as good as a Spectre of Insomniac. Okay? And then he says COVID is a day one. Okay? Then over here he says, hey, that's a decent 5 out of 10 state of mid. Look at that. You were so hyped for so many titles. So many things you saw. Then you call it a 5 out of 10. That is crazy. That is crazy. Give me 1 second, guys. People calling me now. People calling me now. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. So, that's insane, isn't it? Oh, and then he says, okay, I give Tokyo Game Show for Xbox an easy 7 out of 10. And you know what? When Jay Barry called him out on Muchi's podcast, he said, oh, I only care whether the game can make me buy the console or not. And I'm like, what game on Xbox will make you buy an Xbox? You already have a PC, and you proudly state the fact week after week that you have a PC so you can play all of these games anyway. So none of these games I gave a 7 out of 10 to could possibly meet the other category. So basically, PlayStation State of Play has to sell you a PlayStation, but an Xbox game show just has to be like a regular game show. That's crazy. Yo, listen, man. Listen. He is such an idiot. Such an idiot. And Much uses his influence to force him upon the gaming community because if this guy wasn't on Much's podcast, nobody would give a fuck what he has to say. Rightfully so. Disgusting behavior. It is disgusting behavior, man. Listen, Jay Barry, you're doing the Lord's work out there, man. I hope you keep putting your foot on his neck. You know, whenever you get on that podcast, might keep going after him because this guy he's just the worst. Just the worst. You know, he's the kind of guy that makes you hate an entire country or an entire fucking kingdom. I don't even know. You know, I'm part of the Commonwealth, so I guess I kind of hate the UK too much, but it's just crazy. It's literally insane. Like you just listen to his British accent, and you're like, huh, do I absolutely abhor British accents? Do I love all of them? Or is it just this guy? Like you just literally question yourself. You're like, huh, I don't like people from Wales. I think I don't like the Welsh. You know, wherever he's from, you're just like, I think I hate all of you. It makes you racist. His voice will make you racist. If a black person had that voice, you wouldn't like black people anymore. And I'm saying that even if you were a black person, you'd be like, actually, it turns out I hate all of y'all. You will go join the KKK just to be able to be like, I don't want to be associated with these guys because one of them has that voice. That's his voice. And then his opinions makes you want to hate the human race, just the human species in general. You're like, oh, I'm an anarchist. I want this whole place to burn down because some of us talk and say the things that this person says. That's crazy. That's crazy. Man, listen, most disingenuous person, and he proves my previous point. Listen, we need to get this piece, especially Death Singer. People, PC gamers like Death Singers need to get the fuck out of gaming. Another person that want to get out of gaming, listen, this is the hardware guys. You know what I'm talking about? I'm talking about the hardware guys. People that pretend that they somehow understand hardware because they've read up a little bit on it or because they watch Moore's Law is Dead like 2 or 3 times a week. You know, people that talk to you about the CUDA cores and the, you know, and the mesh compilers and the mesh shaders and the, oh, you know, they've got just all this technical jargon. That's what I want to get out. The technical jargon guys, the guys that know enough about the definitions of these technical jargons, but never actually how it fits into the whole picture. I remember when the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X was first, you know, coming out 2020 and people having the discussions about the teraflops. And I always said, listen, teraflops, as best as I can see it, are like megapixels in a camera. Just because the camera has a higher megapixel count does not mean that it will ultimately take better photos than another camera with that doesn't necessarily reach that same megapixel count. That's just true. Again, TCL has 4K TVs. They happen to be good, and a lot of them happen to be lower than the price of a Sony TV. That does not mean that objectively, test by test, pound for pound, just because a TCL has, for example, an 8K panel, that doesn't mean that it is necessarily a better TV than a Sony or an LG or a Samsung that only has a 4K panel because there's different nuances that you have to look at. But you know, a lot of these technical jargon guys, they were the ones that swore to you that you would see like a 30 or 40% difference just because of the GPU alone. Those are the guys I'm talking about. And those guys need to get the fuck up out of gaming too. Do we need to get them? We need to kick them out of the community. People that will still tell you that, oh yeah, well, the Series X is more powerful on paper, you know, but the PlayStation 5 is more powerful in reality, or the developers are better optimized for it. I'm like, no, you're just a fucking idiot. You know because that's what you are. Because here's the thing: you could have two vehicles, two cars, right? Let's make it simple. One of them has 300%, 300, let's just say 200 more horsepower than the other. And they have to go across, you know, let's say a long and technical course, like an endurance race. Again, on paper, one of them should be more powerful. But okay, let's say that they have to do an endurance race, a 24-hour race, and the car that is, let's give it some names, okay? Let's say that you have a Ferrari that has 500 horsepower. Let's say you have a Aston Martin that has 700 horsepower. The Ferrari should, on paper, be weaker, less performant, less powerful than the Aston Martin at 700 horsepower. Okay, cool, but that's on paper. This again is just a single figure. It doesn't consider anything about the transmission, the gearbox, anything, the handling, anything. It's just one singular figure. And I always said, like, okay, cool. That is on paper. That is like layman's term. Okay, we can see there's a difference here in this one specific metric. Perfectly fine. But then they do an endurance race, the Ferrari wins. Okay, it's an endurance race. Oh, okay, for maybe it had better fuel economy. All right, cool. Then they do a drag race, the Ferrari wins. Then they do a drift, the Ferrari wins. Then they do a sprint, the Ferrari wins. And then at the end of the day, after like across 100 different contests, the Ferrari wins 85 of them, and the Aston Martin wins 15. Are you still going to be dumb enough to say that the Aston Martin is more powerful? Because what does more powerful mean if the other person keeps winning? It doesn't that make it the more powerful one? Like, I don't know. The PlayStation is more powerful because it wins most competitions versus the Xbox. That's it. It doesn't matter what it said on paper, according to one metric that considered nothing else about its architecture, nothing else about its development environment, nothing else about anything. But no, these technical jargon guys want to just hold on because that's the entire identity. The entire identity is that, oh, I can talk to you about compile shaders and mesh shaders and drivers and tools and engines and this and that. And I'm just like, you don't actually know anything that you're talking about. You know the definitions of them, I'm sure, but you know them the same way that Merriam-Webster dictionary knows them. As in, you know the individual parts, but you can't put anything together. You can't see any. And the thing is, you shouldn't even know that because, again, in these cases, we're talking about complex systems that have multiple interfaces between the hardware, the software, the developers, and the primary architects of the console. There's a whole bunch of things that even Mark Cerny, the person that makes the console, or that is a primary architect for the console, even he is surprised by what developers choose to use and how quickly they choose to use them. And he's the person behind it all. So why do you think you person sitting behind your computer would have anywhere near the time, effort, and energy to really bring something valuable to the conversation that isn't just that, oh, well, this GPU is going to be on 2 nanometer process. It's going to be at TSMC. It's going to give us a 17% uplift in rasterization performance. Shut the fuck up. You don't know anything. You don't know anything. What does 17% uplift in blah, 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 or blah, blah, blah actually mean for the gamer? You don't know. Like, honestly, the truth is, maybe nobody knows. Maybe even like Mark Cerny is going to be like, I think we can achieve a 37% increase in raster performance. But what would that look like as an end product? He might not know. Now, he probably does know because he's a developer as well as a primary architect. But that means that he's one of the few people that actually can see it from both ways. You certainly can't because you have no business in either direction. You're not an architect for hardware and you're not a software developer for games. So how could you possibly know? You have nothing to contribute. Did you get the fuck up out of here? I hate those people. I hate those people. People that make arguments about teraflops. I'm like, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. Again, that's like arguing that some no-name Chinese brand, okay, is better than a mainstay TV because, or is just as good than a mainstay TV because they both have a 4K panel. No, pixel count does not determine the quality of your TV, at least not by itself. In fact, I would argue that the pixel count is one of the least important metrics that determines the quality of a TV panel. And I feel that's the same thing about teraflops. So yeah, we need to get those people out there. Okay, let's read some of your chat so that I can get back into conversation. Yeah, that podcast was funny. Yo, listen, man. He beat. Listen, man. This man hypes the games PlayStation is releasing, or PlayStation is at least showing in the presentation. But his inner hatred for PlayStation, and he's also the same. Oh, he's one of those people too. That's the thing that he said. Oh, the PlayStation could not possibly run what is it GTA 6 at 60 frames per second, not even the PS5 Pro, because they didn't upgrade the CPU, they didn't do this, they didn't do that. I'm like, shut the fuck up. Listen, it's fine for you to doubt whether or not it will. That's perfectly fine. It's a reasonable take to have. But don't try to delve into the hardware, oh, because they didn't do this or they didn't do that. Like, shut up. You don't know. You don't know. You know? Like you just don't know. So you don't have to say that. You can just be like, hey, I'm cautiously optimistic, or I am mostly skeptical. That's perfectly fine. I'm skeptical that this will be possible. If it is, I'll be happily surprised. That's a fine opinion to have. But you'd be like, oh, they didn't really upgrade the CPU, they didn't really change the RAM, they didn't really change the memory. It's gonna come down to these X, Y, Z. It's like you don't fucking know. You don't know. So just shut up about it. I hate that. You know, listen, yeah, I will say this from my perspective. If at least the PS5 Pro does not have a 60 frames per second mode stable on GTA 6, that is a failure from Sony. That's a fail, complete fail. You invested in Take Two to be able to be like, oh, we invested together, blah, 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 blah. And you built this PS5 console, especially the Pro, alongside the GTA 6 project running, and you have relationships there. So if you couldn't make sure that the hardware you were putting out was going to be powerful enough to have 60 frames per second on that particular game, especially, I think that's a failure from Sony. That's all I will say. I will not tell you, oh, they should have removed this hardware component and put in this one, or turbocharge this, or supercharge that. No, because I don't know. But I will tell you, I'm disappointed. Again, just like, for example, if my favorite football team loses a particular contest, I'm gonna be disappointed in there. I'm not gonna go and to the coach room and be like, oh, this is the play that you should have been running. No, because I don't know. But I'm disappointed in the end result. I think that they owe it to the PlayStation fan base, especially those who bought the Pro console, to have ensured that they have put enough horsepower, metaphorically speaking, into the PlayStation 5 Pro console, at the very least, for that to have a 60 frames per second mode. Ideally, that would have been true also for the base consoles, and the Pro should be hitting above 60 frames per second, no matter how technically complex GTA 6 turns out to be. That is the hope. That's what you can say as a gamer. You can just say, hey, this is what I hope will happen. This is what I will, this is the standard that I want to happen. But I'm not going to go and play little device architect and be like, oh, because it only draws from the wall 270 watts. No, I'm not going to do that. Okay, Gamer Boy, it's always bad when Sony does it, but when Xbox and Nintendo money hat is okay, man. Hey, man, you and I both know it's true. Nintendo patents game mechanics and, in other people's words, money hatching games, but nobody holds them accountable. If PlayStation did, you will know by now. Hey, man, I'm telling you, it's crazy. Nintendo pulled a fast one. Yeah, the patent. Listen, what did you do that patent? Listen, I don't like discussing Nintendo because I just find Nintendo is just not interesting to me. Same way I don't find PC interesting to me. The only thing is that Nintendo fans typically don't even, try to like crossover with us. We actually do a pretty good job of rejecting Nintendo fans. Have you guys noticed that? Like, did you guys see that guy? Oh God, what was his name? He's actually like a decent content creator, but he was like Nintendo Live or something, or he was like on Nintendo, that podcast, and then he said some slick words about how Nintendo is delivering so many games and PlayStation and Xbox are releasing nothing. People roasted him to hell and back for that one. We do a pretty good job at shutting down Nintendo's stupid shit, but we need to apply that shit to PC, man. Oh man, I hate the fact that these companies are letting PC gamers think that they belong at the table with us. Listen, if you want to call yourself the master race, if you want to pretend that you're, everything good with God and glory, just go over there and stay in your space. How come there's never a GPU wars? How come there's never an AMD versus Nvidia? Like, why don't you just play around and talk around with your shit? You want to talk around your CUDA cores? You want to talk around your, your ray tracing? You want to talk about your DLSS 2.0 versus FSR4? Again, the technical jargon guys that bring this into the world of consoles, I hate all of you. I hate all of you. I wish you would all just go away. But PC guys, you guys want to do that? You want to talk about the hardware configuration? You want to talk about the what is it the speeds of RAM and like the clocking of CPUs? Hey man, Linus Tech Tips, all of that go that way, man. Go that way. Y'all have at it. From time to time, I like to peek in and be like, oh, what's going on in your world? And I come in, I don't bring any of my console ness into it. I listen, I learn whatever I can, and then I move back to where I belong, which is on the console side. That's it. But you guys always try to butt in. As soon as a new console is released, you have people be like, "Well, what if I can match the price with PC? Why are you here? Why are you interested?" No, don't worry about what we can do. No one buys a phone and it's like, "Oh, here's a $2,000 iPhone. Well, let's see what it can do gaming wise versus a traditional console." No one does that because we understand that mobile gamers, they don't care about that. Console gamers don't care about the performance of an iPhone compared to a PlayStation. We don't take hardware from one side and then try to compare it with our hardware. We don't, you know? So stop doing it to ours. Just piss off. We're not interested in your comparisons between a PlayStation and a 5090. We're not interested. Compare your 5090 to whatever boring AMD or Intel GPU or whatever else you've got going on. I don't know. I don't even know what you have. Like, I don't care. That's the point. So just go, but compare it in you've got your playing ground. Go stay over there with your shitty toys. Okay, that's it. Okay. Xbox console guys are still waiting for the tools, man. It's sad. It is sad. I will say, I think that the state of play has upset so many people because this is what they've always wanted. The impact that this state of play had was bigger, I think, than initially conceived. And essentially, what I realized today, I was walking today and I was like, oh, I get why they hate it so much. It's because this particular state of play was able to shut up a lot of the narratives, a lot of the negative narratives around PlayStation. Now, I'm not, those narratives could come back, of course, and they will. We know that. But the point is, for now, everybody's quiet. Everybody's satisfied. If you're a PlayStation gamer right now, you're like, yep, fantastic. You're good. You're like, hey, don't touch me, can't touch me. You know, Xbox gamers have wanted that for the longest. They have never had in the last 13 years, they have never had a presentation that just shut everybody up. They've never had that. Never. Never. And they hate seeing that moment happen for PlayStation. That's the truth of it. That's the truth. They hate the fact that this Wolverine came out, saw those negative narratives, and just clawed through the face. They hate that. They hate that. They hate that right now. PlayStation fans are like, hey, bro, don't worry about it. Even me, I'm like, hey, bro, don't worry about it. My problem is with the PlayStation 6. I love the PlayStation 5 generation. My problem is, are they going to have exclusives next generation, true exclusives next generation? That's my issue. This generation, I'm Gucci. I'm good. you know? So I love that state of play. 10 out of 10, you know? But they hate that they've never had that moment. And when they thought they had that moment, especially that whole Perfect Dark showcase, it turns out it was all smoke and mirrors. It turns out it was all fake. That's oh man, that's gonna hurt. And that's why they cannot stand the impact that this state of play had. And then Microsoft hit them with a $1,000 Xbox trans handheld. Transheld for short. They hit them with that, and now they no longer have the whole, oh, you know, our consoles are not as expensive as the PS5 Pro. And then Microsoft before that hit them with the 2 TB version of the Series X console is more expensive than the PS5 Pro, even after the price increase. Listen, if you're an Xbox fan, you deserve all of the suffering. You deserve all of the hate. But at least I understand why you hate so much. Okay? So that's it, man. Listen, thank you guys so much. I've got to go because, money still needs to be chased out there. I've got some photos I need to edit and everything like that. I have some people I need to call. So yeah, it's gonna be a thing. So I thank you so much for being here. Thank you for coming through in the chat. This is fun to do. But yeah, like I said, I think I may from time to time, play Slay the Spire on the computer because you guys know that PC gaming is misery. PC is misery is general. So I figured that the reasons for why I took off, I turned off the PlayStation was to have more focus on some other areas of my life, and I think that even if I play from time to time, a few games, well, just Slay the Spire, really. Just Slay the Spire on the PC. I don't think it's going to throw me back into a bad place. So we should be fine. So thank you so much for being there. Thank you, Otaku, for contributing so much to the chat. Thank you to everybody that pulled through. Everybody's just going to come through after. I appreciate all of you. And yeah, we're going to, kind of keep things going as we can on the channel. Yeah, so I will see you guys next time. Go out there and please try to just shut down fake narratives as soon as you see them pop up. Just like hit them, just chop them right on the forehead because people out there are just so disingenuous, absolutely disingenuous, and we've got to stop it. The gaming community is great, it's vibrant, and we are having an amazing time with amazing games, and all of our backlogs are filling up way faster than we can actually, do anything about it. So I guess as a last game recommendation, despite my reservations with Hollow Knight Silk Song, I still recommend it. Again, there is a 10 out of 10 game there buried beneath some decisions that I think were really, really dumb and anti gamer, really. I was gonna say anti consumer, that's kind of the same thing. So, but I think for some people, they'll be able to disregard the bad parts and just get to the 10 out of 10 bit. And if you could be one of those people, and for $20, you might as well try to see if you are. Also, if you are going to play Silk Song, you don't really need to play the first Hollow Knight. So don't worry too much about that part. So there is that. So aside from that, those who have a Switch 2, I guess enjoy Hades 2. It is a timed exclusive to your platform. Well, it's also on PC. If you have a Switch 2 or a PC, play Hades 2. I'm sure it's a fantastic game. Okay.